What's up, people? Multiplier here. What I thought I'd do is hopefully a quick video about how to make a track interesting. And I think it can all be summed up nice and simply as start with kind of your interesting idea, your unique idea, your novel idea, whether it's an interesting sound or an interesting melody or a cool sample, whatever it is, get your cool idea, make sure that's there, and then once you do have your interesting idea, then build it into a track. And that's kind of the crux of it, really. So I get sent quite a lot of tracks, and to be honest, the majority of the time, they're just not that interesting. There's rarely anything majorly wrong with the track in terms of arrangement or the mix or anything, but most of the time it's just kind of like, cool, that sounds like a dubstep track or that sounds like a big room track, but I'm not going to play it because I think there are more interesting, there are better made tracks or whatever. And it can be quite frustrating, I know, if you send someone a track and you're asking for specific feedback and they don't really have any. But that's simply because you kind of need to make your track more interesting or more exciting or kind of make it stand out in whatever way. And I think the best way to do that, at least the way I view things, is to start off with your interesting idea and then build a track. If you start your track as saying like, right, let's make a dubstep track. Right, we've got to start off with the drum, so let's pull out a drum sample and then we're going to pull out a snare. And then let's pull out a massive preset that sounds like some other dubstep tracks because we're making a dubstep track. It's the wrong way to approach things. Start off by experimenting, maybe come up with a cool massive preset. Get your cool kind of unique bass sound straight away. And then once you have your unique bass sound, then maybe build up like a loop out of it or build up your track around it. Or if you're making dubstep, come up with a cool sample, get that kind of interesting kind of like hook, to use kind of like the pop music terminology, get that kind of thing that's going to grab you and grab the listener's attention. Get that going. Once you have that interesting idea, you can then build a track up around it. The process of building up a track is the easy part. It's kind of like painting by numbers. You know to do things in blocks of 16 or whatever, and you know you need to have like a build up and a drop, and you know what sort of synths you need for that, because that's kind of obvious. It's all the same. The hard bit and the kind of the bit that makes tracks worth existing is that kind of interesting bit. So you should really start off with that interesting bit, because you can always build up a track around an idea. It's a lot harder to crowbar an idea into a track you've already kind of put together or a template you've already put together. So that's kind of like my main bit of advice to making interesting tracks. And then on top of that, just think about it. Whenever you're, every 20 minutes or every 30 minutes you're producing your track, think, am I just doing this painting by numbers style? Am I just doing a formulaic thing of, well, I'm making a trap track, so we got to have some kind of triplety hi-hats things in here because that's what everyone else does. It's the wrong way to think about it. Is your track worthwhile kind of existing? Is it worth sharing? Is it kind of worth putting out there? If it's not different, if it's not unique, still make it, do whatever you want to do, but just don't be annoyed if people don't get excited by it, because kind of view it objectively and think, right, if I heard this track, would it get me excited? Or is it just that I've made a track that sounds like a big room track or a trap track or whatever else it is? So yeah, definitely kind of sum up, come up with your idea, build up your track around it, and then constantly think as you're kind of working through the track, what is the main idea behind this track? What's the point? Why is it here? If you can't come up with any kind of unique feature about your track, it's all well and good. It may be good kind of DJ kind of filler music or whatever. You may kind of learn a lot by making it, and that's cool. And there's definitely a time and a place to build a generic track to kind of learn about how to produce. But there's no point in kind of sharing it, to be quite honest, because if it sounds like everything else and there's nothing kind of unique and interesting about it, and you've got to be really honest about it as well, then there's no real point. So definitely, I can't really overstate the importance of come up with an interesting track or an interesting idea, and then you can build it into a track, or you can build it into something that DJs can play after that. That's the easy bit. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. Definitely do think about it. It's not really a case of, right, you need to use this preset to make your track interesting, or you need to do this kind of arrangement or this kind of thing to make it interesting, because what's interesting to one person isn't necessarily interesting to another person. But fundamentally, it does have to be interesting. And to be interesting, it has to be a bit different, and there has to be something to it. So yeah, that's kind of my video. Yeah, make good stuff.